just a quick reminder, this is a part 2 video. However, I think that you can watch this video all the way through, but I'll have the part 1 memoir recs or must read memoirs up top so that you make sure you go back to watch that so you have the full list of great memoirs to read. Let's just get right into the video. Hey y'all, welcome to or welcome back to my channel, Scotty Cherie Reads. So we're just gonna jump right into the first recommendation, and that is the heavy-hitting Solito by Javier Zamora. So I'm gonna read the back because intentionally this memoir description is only like 2 sentences long because you just have to go on this journey with Javier. So it says, a 9-year-old boy, an impossible journey, an unforgettable memoir. Those are kind of like the taglines. A young poet tells the inspiring story of his migration from El Salvador to the United States at the age of 9, in this gripping tale of bravery, perseverance, and seeking one's family. So that already sounds sad, although you know at the end he gets here to the United States, so that held me on so much through this story, even though I know that that's not the case for a lot of people, unfortunately, especially in the trying times that we're living in right now. Imagine a 9-year-old trying to work his way from El Salvador to the United States. You can just imagine, and the worst of the worst of what you can imagine happens. It doesn't say this on the back, and I don't think it's a spoiler, but another thing that makes this journey so scary and like makes you just completely flip through the pages and not want to put it down, even though you know he survives, is because he isn't with any of his family. So I don't remember specifically, but one of his parents, I believe, is already in the United States. And then now it was his time to go. And they like pay these group of individuals to make the journey, but he's going by himself. The only other people that he knows are these strangers that we get to know throughout the story. And I just can't imagine what that was like for Javier. Yeah, just truly moving. Literally felt like it changed my life after reading this story, of thinking of how blessed and fortunate I am just to have been born in the US, you know? But yes, this one is so good. Please pick it up. Next up is another insanely popular memoir, but it is popular for a reason, and it is one of those, kind of like in the previous video that I was talking about with Viola Davis's memoir, that it just inspires you to kind of get up and reach your goals. And that is Becoming by Michelle Obama. I do quickly want to say that she had a second nonfiction book that came out after this one, and I read it, and it's okay. I think it's worth a listen, but not anything to like write home about. But this baby is fantastic. This is her actual memoir, talks about childhood, growing up in the South Side of Chicago, her introduction to Barack Obama, and their early years. And a big part of this is kind of her grappling with if she wants him to run for presidency or not, and how difficult of a decision for them, you know, as that was. You can tell here from all of these tabs, her writing is just gorgeous. I'm gonna read the back. It's just an excerpt from the preface, really quick, just to give you a taste of what her penmanship is like. It says, there's a lot I still don't know about America, about life, about what the future might bring, but I do know myself. My father, Fraser, taught me to work hard, laughed often, and keep my word. My mother, Marion, showed me how to think for myself and to use my voice. Together in our cramped apartment on the south side of Chicago, they helped me see the value in our story and my story and the larger story of our country. Even when it's not pretty or perfect, even when it's more real than you want it to be, your story is what you have, what you will always have. It is something to own. So it's just, yeah, I mean, I had my pen out and was underlying so many inspirational quotes and relatable things in here, which I think was insane and like so cool, especially being African American or being Black. And, you know, I've always looked up to Michelle Obama, obviously, like the first Black president, and just what that looks like to be the president of the United States and to be in that family, but also to be Black and talk about all of the shitty things that have happened to our people in this country that we love. But there's also been terrible, terrible things that have been done to us. And it's interesting to hear that from her perspective, because they quite literally had the weight of the country on their shoulders, you know? But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about this one. If you're mildly interested, pick it up. Listen to it because Oh my gosh, she narrates the audiobook and she just has such a soothing voice. So yeah, pick this one up. It was great. Grab a box of tissues for this next one because I cried like a baby in this story, and I just don't know how Amy Lynn was able to tell this story. The book is called Hereafter, Amy Lynn. It's her memoir, and this is all about grief and trying to overcome grief. She tells the story of how her and her late husband, Curtis, were fresh newlyweds, and unexpectedly Curtis passes away, and obviously her world is completely shattered. And as I've said, because I've talked about this book before, that's one of my biggest fears, waking up and like my husband not being here and having all of these plans because we're young, and what would that would look like and how you would carry on after something tragic like that. And Amy is so raw in this book, not just only from her experience, like that's a value add to the market in general, because I don't know a lot of books specifically that talk about an experience this deeply, but also her writing is beautiful. And I hope that Amy Lynn comes out with something else because I will definitely pick it up immediately. I do want to read the inside flap a little bit to give you a better understanding of what it's about. It says, Amy Lynn never expected to find a love like the one she shares with her husband Curtis, a gifted young architect who pulls her toward joy, adventure, and greater self-acceptance. It's so sad. On a sweltering August morning, only a few months shy of the newlyweds moved to Vancouver, 32-year-old Curtis heads out to run a half marathon with Amy's family. It is the last time she sees her husband alive. Yeah, he's 30. He was 32 years old. Like, I'm 31. This just hit me so hard. What follows is a rich and unflinching, honest account of her life with Curtis and the vortex created by his death. Hereafter is an intimate story of deep love followed by dizzying loss. A memoir so finely etched that its power will remain with you long after the final page. And that it will, for sure. I do want to say that it's told in like vignettes. So it's honestly a pretty quick read, but because it's so heavy, I say take your time with it and, just sit in those emotions. But yeah, if that sounds interesting and you think that you can handle it, because it is very heavy, pick this up. It is fantastic. This next memoir I don't actually have physically. I need to get a copy because it was such a cool read. And that is Brain on Fire, My Month of Madness by Susanna Cahalan? I should look that up. Sorry, it's up here. I'm just going to read this blurb because I think this is such a thrilling book that I don't want to tell you if she gets better or not. So, okay, let's just go right into it. It says, Brain on Fire is the powerful account of one woman's struggle to recapture her identity. When 24-year-old Susanna, I don't know the last name, sorry about that, woke up alone in a hospital room, strapped to her bed and unable to move or speak, she had no memory of how she'd gotten there. Days earlier, she had been on the threshold of a new adult at the beginning of her first serious relationship and a promising career at a major New York newspaper. Now she was being labeled violent, psychotic, a flight risk. What happened? In a swift and breathtaking narrative, Susanna tells the astonishing true story of her descent into madness, her family's inspiring faith in her, and the life-saving diagnosis that nearly didn't happen. So, yeah, if that sounds interesting, pick it up. The journey and being in her head of not understanding what is malfunctioning in your brain is insane. Like, I don't know if you guys know, but I was a psychology major in school, also pre-med. So this was just right up my alley. But I think anyone would get something out of this book. It's so good. Like, I don't want to say anything else. I don't want you to know like what happened with the diagnosis, all of that stuff. I think that's part of the fun of reading the book, to see what happens. So if that sounds interesting, pick it up. The audiobook is great. All right, coming up on the last one, I have How to Say Babylon by Sophia Sinclair. I think for most audiobooks I listen to, or for most memoirs, I listen to them on audiobook, and Sophia narrates this herself, and her accent is so beautiful and really makes the story come to life. So this is her telling her story from her childhood of growing up in Jamaica. And she had a father who was very big into Rastafari. I didn't know a bunch about Rastafari before reading this book, and she does a great job of giving some of the history of Rastafari, which makes me want to pick up other books about this like religion or way of life. So if you have any information or know some books or podcasts or anything that talks about Rastafari, I'm interested. So let me know in the comments below. But it's very, very strict. It says that, you know, the dad is very like militant and really thinks that the Western world is evil, and, you know, that women are weak and feeble and impure. And it's just so abusive. Like, it's just a so abusive story. And Sophia talks about growing up and seeing her mom, you know, just be in his shadow all of the time and getting abused. And she didn't want that for herself. And the mother actually introduces her to poetry. And that's what this book, like the prose in this book, is so gorgeous. I'm not sure if Sophia has other poetry collections. I would think so. I haven't read any, but I'll put some on the screen here. And it just talks about how her voice was just awakened from her mother explaining, you know, education and reading books and writing poetry. And that's taken her to be the success that she is today, and was able to kind of get away from that abusive lifestyle that she was just born into. So yeah, very moving, definitely cried. It's a page turner. You want to know exactly what happens. And yeah, if that sounds interesting, definitely pick it up. It was worth the read. Really quickly, I just grabbed 3 unread memoirs off of my bookshelves that are very high up on my TBR list. And let me know if you read them in the comments below and what your thoughts were about them. But really quickly, I have Kitchen Confidential by Anthony Bourdain. Enough said, it's adventures in the culinary underbelly. I absolutely love Anthony Bourdain. Rest in peace to him. I can't believe I haven't read this yet. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna pick this up soon. High up there. I have Tranny, Confessions of Punk Rock's Most Infamous Anarchist Sellout by Laura Jane Grace. So Laura Jane Grace is the founder of the rock band Against Me. And this is her story of transitioning and going through, you know, the music industry and what all of that looks like. So definitely intrigued to read this. And then this one I don't know a lot about, but it was a recommendation from my friend Kimchi, so shout out to Kimchi. She brought this up years and years ago when we first like got to know each other, like via just being coworkers in like 2017. So I need to pick this up. Sorry. But it's called Infidel by Ayan Hirsi Ali. I should have looked it up beforehand. Sorry about that. But it talks about the struggles of living in like a strict Muslim family. And it says that she like survived civil war, female mutilation, brutal beatings, adolescence as a believer during the rise of the Muslim Brotherhood, and life in 4 troubled, unstable countries ruled largely by despots. Yeah, I don't know a lot about this. I don't know a lot about this individual in general, but Kimchi looks up to this person a lot, and I think this sounds interesting. I don't know a lot about that, so it'll be an informative read, and it seems like it'll be very moving as well. But those are 3 quick ones that I want to read. Hopefully you guys pick up some of the recommendations from the part 1 and the part 2. But other than that, if you like what you saw here, please subscribe, leave a comment down below, like this video. All of that engagement helps me out, and I really appreciate it. Other than that, as always, we'll continue to chat in the comments until the next video. See ya. Bye.